Charles, what's going on, man? Appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. You are about 7 weeks through the program. So you're just over the halfway point of that initial 12 weeks. And I'm super excited to be chatting with you. I know you've seen a ton of success. I know you and I have developed a pretty close relationship here over the past few weeks, getting to know you better and better. And I'm super excited for everybody that's watching this to get to know you as well. Because quite frankly, I think you're a very special individual. And I think you have a very, very unique mindset that is valuable to anybody that's watching this. So I'm excited to chat with you, man. It's awesome to have you here. And I cannot wait for everybody that's watching this to get to know you at least a little bit like I do. So I'm excited, brother. I appreciate you being here.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Joey. I'm excited too, man. So let's get into it.
Let's dive into it, brother. Let's dive into it, man. Well, first things first, I want you to tell people a little bit about like what you do for work, who you are, who is Charles, and kind of introduce yourself to them.
Yeah. So my name is Charles Scott. I work in risk management and insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got a master or a bachelor's and my master's both from Florida State University. Go Noles.
Sunshine State, baby.
In risk management and insurance. At the times that I got them, they were top 5 universities. So very, very proud of that. At this moment, what I do is I run an entire insurance program for a multi-billion dollar multinational company that sells it's in the construction retail space. And I do everything from procure insurance, help to procure insurance policies, review contracts for insurance language, protect our company, and then I also work with claims. So I do a lot of medical claims with workers' compensation, auto claims, and different things like that. So I have when it comes to risk and insurance, I have a vast plane of experience throughout organizations and stuff. So it's an interesting field. I know a lot of people are probably going to fall asleep listening to it or even thinking about it. But in all honesty, I mean, there's not a lot of people to do it. Not a lot of people who have the expertise to it. And what ends up happening is it creates a good pipeline between myself and executives and leadership teams and stuff like that. So.
Well, it sounds like you're dealing with a lot of, again, like risk management, contracts, legal stuff. Is it like what you would call a stressful job? Do you feel like you're dealing with stress on the day-to-day? Because to me, it sounds stressful, but like, I don't know what your actual experience is like doing it.
Yeah, it can be stressful. I mean, there's different levels of stress. You can, obviously dealing with auto accidents and potentially construction injuries, you can run the gamut of, having somebody who just nicks their finger to somebody who, potentially passes away. So
yeah,
and you don't have, in some of those instances, you don't have time to react. You gotta just go, and you gotta, you can't get emotional about it. You gotta think, well, what's the impact here? I've got to be clear, concise, create a plan of action, and go right into it. So yeah, there's a lot of stress that comes with it, and then there's different stressors. There could be, somebody's not happy with a certain way that we're doing something, and if we don't react right away, they're not going to pay us, or they'll threaten to sue us for certain things. So yeah, there can be quite a bit of stress involved. But again, that's one of the reasons why I like to work out, and I've worked out for most of my life, or I guess before I got here, I attempted to work out for my life, yeah. But I don't think I was as successful as I definitely am now. But definitely it's helped me a lot to regulate that stress that's fluid with the job.
I was just going to ask, like, how do you feel like your stress levels have been impacted as a result of going through the program? Maybe like, what were they like before? What are they like now?
I think, and I know we talked a little bit about this, but there was a lot of mood and attitude.
Yeah.
I think, or character, or I would say more mood and attitude that was affected by. So my biggest issue was eating, right? I would snack, I work from home, so I'd be sitting there and I just grab a handful of Cheez-Its or, crush a stack of Oreos
yeah.
just because. I started being very quick to get angry or get upset with stuff. I'd start forgetting things that I shouldn't be forgetting. And, I was just thinking I'm 41 years old. I'm thinking, oh, I'm getting to that stage in life, blah, blah,
Mm.
blah. Since I've come here, especially with the diet, I've just noticed that it's given me a lot more, to your point, like I'm much more clear on how I'm thinking about things. I think it's one of the more surprising impacts of the program, but I think it's also given me, I'm a lot less quick to react, a lot less quick to be emotional about something.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. Yeah, I was gonna say, I know you've told me a bit about that in your day to day, whether it be like career wise, whether it be relationships with family, etc. And was that something that you were specifically trying to change when you joined, or was that something that just kind of came as a result of being in here?
it came as a result. I mean, it's something that I've been working on myself. I mean, both my parents are very quick to anger, were very quick to anger. So it's something I've always grown up with.
Yeah.
Um, I've always been trying to work on it. I just didn't realize like diet essentially had that much more control over that
Right.
than it did. So I've just been blown away by those results.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And like, was there anything that you had tried before joining us when it came to not only your health and fitness, but maybe things like the stress, maybe things like the moodiness? Was there anything that you tried before joining us that maybe didn't work as well?
Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, when I got divorced, back in 2017, or 2017, I, 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 I lost a ton of weight because I starved myself. I mean, I didn't,
Punished.
I was doing, I was doing probably 2/3 of the calories that you guys are doing, but I wasn't putting I wasn't putting nearly as much protein in my diet.
Yeah.
So I was able to lose the weight. I don't think it helped me too much with my attitude. I just tried being more, aware of what I was going through. What ended up happening was, I mean, obviously you cut everything out, you gain the weight back when you start putting it back in. And that's exactly what happened. So yeah, I mean, I've tried the diet stuff, and I've actually had it be successful for a period of time, but you can't sustain yourself on 1,000 calories a day. It's not going to work.
Not gonna work.
So, but as far as the anger stuff, I just didn't like. I just try to be more aware and just try to work on myself. And again, I had no idea that diet really impacted it that heavily.
Yeah, and I think a lot of guys realize that too, how big of an impact diet is playing on. And something you said is you saw success with diets before, but you quickly realized I can't sustain eating, 1,000 calories a day for the rest of my life. That's not going to happen. And I imagine that had to be pretty frustrating, right? Bouncing diet to diet and kind of seeing that theme of, hey, this isn't going to last. Was that a point of frustration for you as you were going through things beforehand?
Uh, yeah, it was a point of frustration. I think I got to a point to where, so for example, right before I started the program, I went and got measured for, 2 new suits, because the last time I had suits was when
Nice.
I had starved myself.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, those suits don't fit anymore. So I go and get new suits, and of course I lose 20 pounds afterwards. So it's like, oh, I got to go get them redone again. I'm like, ah, that was a smart idea. But
We didn't send you the warning,
honestly,
bro. We didn't send you the warning. Man. You
I was
gotta
like,
budget for new clothes. You gotta budget for new
no,
clothes.
you're but no, I mean, yeah. So I mean, I was at the point where I was frustrated. I'd almost given up, and I was like, I'm just gonna be. I think Jack said this week. I just started laughing. Skinny fat. It's like I'm not quite fat. I'm not quite skinny. I'm just kind of in between that. Somebody's looking at me like, yeah, is that kind of fat? No, it doesn't look like it. It looks like But yeah, I was fat. So, or I am. I'm still getting there. But hey.
And was there a main driver for you? Right? Because you said you got to that point where you're like, man, I was frustrated. Like I almost quit. Like, what was the turning point or main driver that made you decide, like, I gotta flip this switch?
Bro, my dad died when I was 35 at the age of 70, and he missed out on so much in life because he ate crap, he didn't work out, didn't do anything, didn't take care of himself. The last year of his life, his kidneys were functioning at 15%, and you know he saw me go through you know a really incredibly terrible marriage, incredibly terrible relationship. He saw me painstakingly go through that and help me to get through it. But he wasn't around to witness like the happiness and the greatness that I feel meeting my wife now, who is my utter soulmate. And so, and seeing how happy I am right now and how much I've changed my life around from, 6, 7 years ago. And, I started looking at my son and my stepdaughter, and I'm like, I've got to be around for them. I've got to, not only be around, but I've got to interact with them. Because if I'm not interacting with them, they're interacting with all this other crap that's out there, all this other, all these other distractions that are keeping kids, you know, taking kids away from technically from like being present within the family. And so I really wanted to change that around. I want to be the guy that's picking them up over my shoulders and that's running around with them in the yard, that's, kicking the soccer ball. I take my son has some developmental delay. So I like to, whenever I see him, I drive down to Florida every month. Whenever I see him, I'm taking kettlebells with me so that we can do some exercises. And it's like, I want to not only do that, but I want to do it to the next level. And I want them to see that so they have that example. And I want to be there for their entire lives, because you never know what you're going to miss out on. And so, I think that was a big driver, is just, seeing what my dad's going to miss in my life, being sad for that and saying, I don't want that for my kids.
Hey, I appreciate you sharing that, because I know that's not easy to talk about, man. That's not easy to talk about at all, and this because you've had the deep conversations with Gabe, and Gabe talks about it openly in concept, where he's had the struggles with his father. His father's gone through a lot of health problems. I was the kid myself whose dad wasn't able to keep up in the yard. I love my father to death. He ended up losing the weight. We have an amazing relationship. He's one of my best friends. But growing up, it was that struggle of, he comes home from work, Dad, you want to play in the yard? No, I don't feel like it. Okay, that stinks. Right. And it was like that until I was already moved out of the house. And again, that's water under the bridge now. Him and I have resolved that between ourselves privately. But I've been that kid, and so I know how important it is. So I always think it's amazing and inspiring when fathers like yourself are in this program and going through this, because they realize the impact that their health has on their children, whether that be walking your daughter down the aisle someday, whether that be wanting to be the dad that throws the kid over your shoulder or brings the kettlebells down to work with your son and do all that stuff, because that makes an impact. And I'm not a father, but I can speak on it from the perspective of being the kid who didn't have that. And it matters, man. It leaves an impact. And I know Gabe, if he was here, he could speak on the even tougher impact, where he's seen direct negative health effects for his dad in and out of the emergency room, diabetes, dealing with that stuff. So I commend you and all the fathers that have gone through this program, because the impact is real. The impact is real. And I can speak on it from the kid perspective. It makes a difference. So I appreciate you sharing that, man. And the moment of truth here that I know everybody always looks forward to in these interviews is kind of announcing, which you said a little bit earlier about it, announcing the actual results that you've achieved so far. So what is your number, man? What was the number when you started weight wise? Where are you now? And again, you're about like 7-ish weeks through. So what is the result? What are we seeing on the scale now, man? Tell the people.
So I mean, I'll be honest. I was guessing my weight at the beginning, because I never weighed myself. I think I was around 211, although I probably I may have been a little bit more, but I think 211 is probably a decent guess.
Yeah.
Right now I'm at 191. That was yesterday. I weighed in at 191. So I mean, I'm hitting. Uh, yeah. That's the weight stuff. That's the progress of the weight stuff.
Yeah.
My relationship. We sit here and talk about the psychology of it all and looking at everything. And I think that you want to talk about, I mean, I'm still gaining strength. I'm 41 years old, man. I'm over the hill. I'm supposed to be on the decline, and I'm making gains every time I walk into the gym. Why? Because I've never used a tool like reps and reserve before. It's never been provided. I think I've seen stuff on it, but I've never really dug into it. But that's been an absolute game changer. And then you talk about the protein, changing my diet to look at how protein impacts me as a human being. I think I said this I think I said this to either myself or to a friend of mine or something. And I said, this is how a human is supposed to feel, not that lump of, you know, of inertia, of inner flesh that's just sitting on a couch. This is how I'm supposed to feel. And so with that, I start looking at, okay, well, I need to look at food not as, and look, don't get me wrong, it's pleasurable, but look at it as, how is it going to help me the best? And the way it's going to help me the best is by focusing on that protein and getting that protein in as much as I can. And beyond that, I mean, even when I look at the calories, because of how full protein makes me, I can hardly ever hit my calorie goal because I'm so full anyway. But I make protein my main goal. And what I do, you know, I used to, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was in Mexico and I was just stressing out about having that day where that 20% day where I'm going over everything. I'm just gonna, you know, I'm having my test day, and you know, I think Chris responded, and it really hit home, and I just don't care anymore because if I'm hitting my protein goal, chances are I'm going to be under my calorie goal, no matter, you know, no matter what I do, and I don't crave to go and eat a ton of, you know, to crush a stack of Oreos. Instead, what I do is, you know, like for example, this Tuesday I had an office party at a bowling alley, and I had a piece of pizza. I had one of those big, you know, those big thick pretzel sticks.
Yeah.
I had a beer, and what happened? I looked at my watch because I was expecting they were going to have chicken wings there, so I could hit my protein goal.
Yeah.
They didn't, so I got grilled nuggets from Chick-fil-A, and I hit my protein goal on the way home.
There you go.
And I still was under my weight. Yesterday, my daughter was sick from school. What do you want to do? What's going to make you feel better, baby? Oh, I want to bake. I want to bake cookies. What kind of cookies do you want? Double chocolate chip.
That's
Okay,
awesome.
great. So we sat there and we baked the double chocolate chip cookies. She said this at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting there plotting out. All right, I'm gonna have chicken for lunch, chicken for dinner to get my protein, and then I'm gonna have that cookie so that she can see that we're enjoying the fruits of each other's labors. And her smile was more valuable than anything else I've ever done. So I mean, my relationship, I don't care. Like it's not even. You want to know what would have been a cheat day? It's cheating her out of that experience.
Yeah.
That would have been a cheat day. Cheat days are, to your point, it's a stupid term. If I get my protein in, if I go above my calories, fine. I'm gonna bust my ass the next day, and I'm gonna get back to where I need to go. More than likely, I'll just fit whatever I'm gonna eat in to make my calorie goal and make my protein goal, and I'm gonna be happy about it. And I just don't care about it from there on out. And if it's eating eating an ice cream with my wife, or it's, I'm just not even gonna fret about it because I know that I've got these. I know I'm gonna bust my ass in the gym, and I know that I'm gonna hit my protein goal because of how much that means. So, I mean, yeah, okay, great, I've lost 20 pounds. To me, that's in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a great outcome, but it's everything else is so much more tangible in my opinion.
Yeah, it sounds like everything is more tangible, right? Like you have all of these benefits that are happening outside of just the number on the scale. And it's funny because those are the people that are watching this. Me and him were sitting here chatting for 20 minutes before this about all the stuff that he's been through and all the stuff that he's gained. And he only barely mentioned the number on the scale. The whole time he's been talking about all the other benefits, which is amazing. And I would imagine for you, because of all the other stuff externally outside of just the fitness, just the number on the scale, this sounds like it's impacted your really outlook on life as a whole and your outlook on how you approach things as a whole. Is that fair to say? And if so, like how has it impacted that outlook?
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's not that I never had that outlook. Okay, I mean, dude, I love to read. You
Yeah.
know, for those of people out there who are looking for stuff to read, you know, my recommendations are, you know, start with Marcus Aurelius Meditations,
Great book.
start with Epictetus, because those are going to give you some real positive energy, you know, vibes. It's going to give you some real positive lessons to learn in life. I've had those positive lessons. One of the things that you and I have talked about is that, you know, or that I've said before in some of our discussions is you can't, you know, it's easy for us to say you can't love anybody until you love yourself. You can't fix anybody until you fix yourself. I've always known that. That's the approach that I've gained from this program. And so yeah, it's something I've had it in the back of my mind, but it's kind of refocused me on those aspects of life. So where again, you can look at some people in the fitness industry that are all about, you know, you're a POS, and talking negatively about you to try and get you through some bad stuff in your life. To me, it's the positive that's really going to stick to you guys, and that's the secret sauce I think that you guys have that a lot of these fake self-help gurus out there don't. Is you're not only you're starting everything for default kings, everything in your default actions stems from positivity.
Yeah.
And that creates real change in life. That creates a real, a real attitude, a real, positive attitude, a real love for life versus some of the negative stuff that you see out there, or even, the general guidelines that they don't apply to anything in your life. You guys apply this stuff to weightlifting or to working out and to nutrition. But in all honesty, some of these other guys, they don't apply it to anything. And then you turn on Twitter, and they're completely doing the exact opposite of what they tell everybody else to do in their book. And so it's like, you guys just have the secret sauce. And it's not that I didn't know these lessons before. It's that I needed to refocus them, and I needed to refocus them in the right way. And, with your combination of, psychology, positivity, spirituality, religion, and self help and self love, I think that's just the perfect sauce.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate the kind words. And I appreciate you being somebody that's an absolute executioner of all those things. Because you and I have also had the conversation where it doesn't matter if you don't apply it. We can give you all those lessons, but you're somebody that took action on it and busted your ass and absolutely got everything that you deserve from it.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's like I was telling you, man. I mean, yeah. And I think I was listening to one of the tapes with Gabe, where he was talking about going to meet one of the clients that was just doing 30 pounds, and he did 12, and he was like, oh, I'm done. I just, like I said to you, man, I mean, this is, if I could give any advice to anybody out there, this program is what you make it. You give us the tools, we are the ones that perform. It's like I told you, man, I was doing the back blaster, whatever, I forgot what the back blaster workout. Before I joined this program, the only way I could ever hit above 160 heart rate was if I was sprinting, doing intervals. I hit 165 doing that exercise because it was busting my ass, to the point to where I couldn't even pick up the weights anymore, to where like I couldn't even grasp them. I had to drop them on the floor because I was just dead. So, yeah, man, what you put into this program is 100% what you get out of it. If you're going to the gym and you're giving it 10 every single time, and that's my goal. I want to give it a 10 every single time. If I can give it a 10 every single time, and I can truly say that I can't lift anymore. My form is dead. My arms are dropping weight. I'm getting the most I can out of this program, and you guys have given us the tools to do that.
Man, I appreciate it, brother. And what do you think out of those tools that we give you? What do you think for you was the one that gave you the most value?
It's got to be two of them, and the two tools are going to be the protein. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got to, and I mean, you guys are fighting a battle there because of all the myths that are out there. And
we talk about it on coaching calls, right? You and I have sat there and talked.
Yeah. I mean, dude, you're not supposed to be able, if you eat more than 30 grams of protein in a meal, it's just waste going in your body. Yeah, that's not true. Yeah. All those myths of, oh, you only need 50 grams of protein. No, that's not true. But the protein thing, I think, is one of the bigger game changers here, because without the protein, I'm not getting all the other benefits from it, but I'm definitely not getting any muscle mass. I'm not gaining, there's ups and downs here. That 20 pounds that I've lost is not really 20 pounds, is it? Because I'm putting on a ton of muscle. It's way more than that, because as I'm losing the fat, I'm gaining the muscle, which weighs a hell of a lot more. So there's the protein that helps me to get that. And then it's the RIR, man. You really got to embrace the RIR get with what exactly it means and understand that, you know, if it's a 0 hour RIR, you should probably be lifting until you can't lift it anymore. I mean, again, my arms are dead. I'm
Yeah.
dropping the weight. I can't do anything more. I'm done.
Yes, 100%. And that's where a lot of people get it wrong. They're like, oh, I can just go through the motions. And ultimately, it's not going to happen, right? You have to take it to the most intensity possible. That's how you're actually going to build muscle. That's how you're going to get results long term. So I'm glad that you've embraced that. And obviously, it's served you very, very well. And the last question that I have for you, because you kind of started speaking to all the people that are listening, and I want you to speak to all of them again. And I want you to tell them from your perspective, why should somebody that's listening right now take action? Why should they aim to make a change in their life?
I think we are capable of so many great things as a species. Um, you know, I think that we can reach so much potential out there. And unfortunately, what I see in society out there, and what I see, you know, when I look at people or when I see some of the things that are promoted out there, I don't think that there's a lot of promotion for people to reach their full potential. And I think that that's sad because we all have potential to be amazingly great beings. We all have the potential to reach a pinnacle of who we could be the best versions of ourselves. And I don't think there's incentive out there enough for the vast majority of people to do that. If you're watching this and you're thinking, you know, what should I do it? Should I not do it? My advice is do it, because you got to reach your full potential. And the only way you're going to be able to figure out you may doubt yourself or you may question whether that's going to happen. The only way to find out is to try, because if you don't try, you're not going to get there. And frankly, if you do, you know, whatever your reservations are, if you think it's going to be too tough, I mean, tough times make great men. Tough times make great people. You know, I don't believe that you can build character without going through rough times, without putting yourself through challenges, without stressing yourself out a little bit. So, you know, for those people that are watching, that are wondering, whether they should pull the trigger or not, absolutely, because we all have the potential to be the best versions of ourselves. Let's all tap that potential and see what great work we could do in society. Could you imagine if 90% of our population were to sit there, put down their phones and say, I want to tap in the best version of myself. How am I going to do it? And they dedicate themselves to it. How amazing would America, how much better would America be right now if that were the case? Or any free country for that matter, if they were able to tap into the best versions of themselves, 90% of the population. How many of society's problems would go away? I mean, it's just that's what the power of tapping into your true potential can bring to the table. And I think that we all owe it not only to you owe it most of all to yourself to get that done, but you owe it to everybody else to be the best version of yourself.
You owe it to everybody to be the best version of yourself, man. I love your passion, brother. It's always fun chatting with you. I appreciate you taking the time to be here, man. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Charles, you are the man. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Take it easy, Joey.
Absolutely, brother.